Greetings and welcome. Today we're going to be doing a follow-up to a video I released about a month ago about the potential of a Texas winter storm in 2022. So if you've been watching the channel for some time, or if you're a native Texan, you're aware that in February of 2022 we got a historic winter storm that dropped 8 inches of snow. It's really catastrophic, and I made several videos last year. I made a video about a month ago discussing preparation for the future of the Texas winter storm, and I had also made another video detailing a whole bunch of different articles I found on KXAN and various weather sites that were describing the nature of climate change, the fact that it's just a reality, and the fact that Texans are going to have to be relying on themselves a bit more in the future rather than on the ERCOT grid or the system that we have here in Texas, as many will be suffering without power during these catastrophic winter storms, even if they're not as severe as last year's winter storm. A lot of people said it's a once-in-a-lifetime storm or once-in-a-30-year storm. I really don't think so. I don't think there will be storms as intense in the near future, but it's not going to take one as intense to cause severe problems like power outages while the temperature is below freezing. So with that, it looks like we have another winter storm on the horizon. Everybody's aware there's a big blizzard going on right now in the Northeast. That's not what I'm talking about. There's a lineup I noticed in the forecast here. I'm looking at the forecast. I hope this isn't for Maine or... Nope, this is for Austin. Good. So I live in a place called Manor. It's a suburb outside of Austin, Texas, and it's practically Austin, Texas. But we're going to be looking at the, I think this is the 78701 zip code, so right downtown. And I was looking at the forecast and I noticed a lineup that seemed pretty alarming here. This is February 2nd and February 3rd. There's a Groundhog Day winter storm that's going to be sweeping really the central U.S. and it looks like it's going to be impacting Texas, North Texas, and Central Texas as well. The alarming part is there's an 87% chance of rain on Wednesday night with 28 degrees because the ground will be warm enough not to cause there to actually be a ton of buildup of ice. But by the morning, there's going to be freezing rain with a high of 33 and a low that night of 22. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a whole bunch of snow, but one thing I really want to point out is that last year, in the days preceding February 15th, I think on the 13th and 14th, there was a ton of freezing rain. And the freezing rain builds up on power lines, transformers, and other electrical equipment, and can obviously cause power failure. Looks like between the evening of Wednesday and Friday morning, the low Friday is 23 as well. It's not going to break till really that much above freezing. 33 above freezing with a ton of wind and freezing rain is, for all functionality, below freezing. So this video is just a warning flag video. This video is, again, a follow-up to the previous video I'd done a month ago, pointing out that as Texans, we need to be serious about the fact that the climate is changing. This is Zone 8B, but it's been functioning a little bit more like Zone 6B over the past couple of years, not even just 2021, I guess. I've been noticing way more freezes in Texas than since I was a kid, and the lowest of the lows are supposed to go down to 20, maybe the teens, but it's just becoming such a common, recurring event that I think it's serious. We take the necessary preparatory steps. So I am talking about things like wrapping your faucets and things like, making sure you're, if you have an irrigation system that it's dripping your faucets, but and dripping your outdoor faucets, I mean. But I'm also talking about things like this. So in the video that I did a month ago, I discussed that my wife and I had bought a propane generator. I highly recommend looking into a dual fuel generator. I'm on Home Depot's website. You don't have to buy from Home Depot. I would recommend that you just look for something that can power a space heater and or a refrigerator. If all the food in your fridge spoils, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. This is not prepping for like an end of the world scenario. This is just prepping for a natural disaster that might last a few days, and depending on how much you want to prepare, maybe even a month or two. So the generator that we have is one kind of like this Durostar one here. This is a 5,000 watt startup, 4,000 watt running generator. And this is a dual fuel, meaning it runs off gasoline and propane. I highly recommend looking into a dual fuel. A lot of the lithium ion, they're not capacitors, but the big lithium ion batteries that you can use, chargeable generators, sometimes they call them, don't really provide the wattage output to power a refrigerator. We also use this to power our radio. So I mean, a radio with batteries would obviously be better, but it's important that you can have some way to get information when you are without power and your central heating is disabled. This is obviously primarily to power our space heater. We have a relatively large space heater. I think it consumes about 2,700 watts per hour. And so these generators run off propane. I have a whole bunch of different propane tanks that power them. As you can see, they're relatively affordable. I say relatively because everybody's in a different space. Maybe you have $5,000 and you can get a 40,000 watt home generator. Maybe you have a few $100s, maybe you have less than that. Depending on what you have, make sure that you are prepared to be without power. The other thing that I would highly recommend is filling up your bathtub with water, which is something that I discussed in my previous video, because when electricity is out, your water pumps won't work. As you can kind of see in the background here, I have a whole bunch of bottled water because we have really hard water in Mainer and don't have a water softener. But it's good for preparing as well. So you have something to drink in case your water faucets do not work. Filling your bathtub with water just provides you with a large source of water and could really save your life. But even beyond that, it's really helpful for just doing basic things like flushing toilets. During the last winter storm, I had friends that came to me with empty 5-gallon containers begging to get some of my water because they were without water for up to 3 weeks. And if you can't flush your toilet by filling your toilet tank, it's a sanitary issue and can cause all sorts of problems, health problems, I mean. So make sure you take a couple of the necessary preparatory steps. Again, this is not a video about preparing for the full-blown end of the world. This is just, hey, we're having really inclement weather in Texas over the past couple of years. It's worth thinking about what to do to prepare. The last article we're going to talk about just real quickly is this one from the Weather Channel. They're just discussing this Groundhog snowstorm that I mentioned. And I saw a little map on here. It's just describing where a lot of this this cold front with a bunch of snow in it is coming from. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not a climate change scientist, so I'm not going to explain what the article is saying. I'm just going to point out this map here, not for Wednesday's forecast, but for Thursday's forecast. The pink zone is ice. The purple zone is a mix, so you can see Austin right there. It's right on the verge of snow and ice. Hopefully the storm isn't serious. Hopefully it's low impact. But I know that with many of these ice storms, you don't want to go out driving because a lot of people do not have proper four-wheel drive, traction control, or just aren't used to driving in inclement weather. We don't have salt on the roads, and I seriously doubt our infrastructure has been properly winterized in the past year. I would imagine there's still huge insufficiency of snow trucks and huge insufficiency of winterization on the ERCOT grid. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a significant amount of power failure in the Austin area and Central Texas over the next week. So do take the necessary steps now. Again, there's some other little pictures in here. I'm not going to really talk about too much of this stuff. Again, just a short video. I highly recommend that again, this is a gardening channel, so to just bring it back to gardening for a moment. I haven't put fruit trees in my new backyard yet, but I am planning on growing some Sam Houston peach trees, maybe a brown turkey fig. Last winter, I made a video showing how I've covered those plants with bubble wrap and burlap to protect them from the freezing rain. If you have some sort of cloth you can place over your fruit trees, now would be the time to do so. And if you're growing things like bananas, mango, avocado, pineapples, I have a few of those type of plants in my garage. Think about maybe switching over to something a little more hardy, as it's going to get harder and harder to keep those things alive over the coming years. So regardless, thanks again for watching Austin, Texas Gardening, and I will keep you guys updated on all things gardening in Central Texas and apparently now Central Texas weather. So thanks again for watching.